Thank you again for joining us. And for those of you that I don't know, my name is Rowan Eister, and I head up marketing and partnerships for Fathom's US team. And from here, I will go ahead and kick it over to Sydney, our host for today's session, and let her take it from here.
Hi, everyone. Before we get into the webinar, I am going to launch a poll. This will just help me know who's joining me today and maybe what I should focus in on a little bit more. So get that poll launched for you guys. Give you a few minutes to focus on that. Awesome. I see your guys' questions being answered. Thank you. Awesome. Well, thank you all for taking the time out of your busy day to join us for this conversation around Fathom's consolidated groups. My name is Sydney Silver. I am a customer retention specialist here at Fathom. So my job is mainly to help answer any questions you guys have as you guys are using the platform. I have Natasha here with me today. She is a customer engagement specialist here, and she is going to be addressing your questions during the webinar. So again, like Rowan mentioned, please use that Q&A, and she'll answer them throughout, but then we will save some time at the end of today's webinar to go over some more, and that Q&A does save them, so we'll be able to reach out if we don't get to all of your questions. Well, awesome. Let's get started. So the webinar is intended to take you through the setup and the creation of Fathom consolidated groups and how consolidated groups in Fathom can help you save time and headache. So today I will give a brief overview of Fathom. I'll give you some background and details on Fathom Consolidations. After that, we will go into the platform and actually create a consolidated group, as well as walk through those consolidated settings. We'll move into our analysis tools so I can show you those consolidated specific tools that we have to offer. Lastly, we'll go into the reporting and explore the editing capabilities to ensure that your consolidated reports have all the information that you are looking for. So what is Fathom? Fathom has been around since 2011 and started in Brisbane, Australia. In the last few years, we did open up offices in Cambridge, England, as well as Seattle, which is where I am located today. Fathom helps over 55,000 companies worldwide gain more insight into their financials to help make better business decisions. We offer analysis tools, customized reports, forecasting, consolidations, benchmarking to ensure your visibility into your financials. So I want to just give you a little bit of an overview of kind of how Fathom gets your data. So within Fathom, you'll have all your subsidiaries connected to their source accounting software, such as Xero or QuickBooks, and we also do integrate with Excel. With cloud-based accounting software, you are able to have your financials brought in on daily and on demand to ensure that Fathom's data is all up to date. This, along with our easy-to-generate reporting options, saves firms an average of 14 hours per reporting cycle for each consolidated created. If time saving is as important to you as it is to me, Fathom Consolidations is a great option to consider. I do want to give a quick quick facts about Fathom Consolidations. So you can actually consolidate up to 300 entities of the same currency. With that being said, we also do have multi-currency consolidations as well, and you can consolidate up to 50 entities. Fathom's default historical exchange rates are sourced from Open Exchange Rate, but you are also able to make your own exchange rates as well. We also do eliminations within Fathom. We have two different kinds. We do have full account level eliminations, but we also do have more detailed adjustments if needed. Lastly, I'd like to point out that you're able to consolidate entities from different source accounting systems. So you can have one from Xero, one from QuickBooks, and as long as they're uploaded into your Fathom account, you will be able to create consolidations with those, no problem. Awesome. So before we go into the actual platform, I do just want to show really quickly a consolidated report, so you kind of know what the end goal is when we're creating our consolidation. So you can see on this first page, I am able to upload my own images, my own logo for this consolidation. Scrolling down, I have a consolidated executive summary, my consolidated KPI results, the breakdown charts. All of this information, of course, that we're looking at in this report is consolidated information. These are some of our analysis tools, and if you're familiar with Fathom, you'll have seen these in the underlying companies. But of course, people do love our financial statements and tables for their consolidation. So here we're looking at group financial trends for a financial year. We're looking at our financials by company. And also we are able to add in single company financials into the same report. So you're able to have every part of the report that you need. Awesome. So let me jump into the platform. All right, so jumping into Fathom, the actual platform, you can see here that this is kind of what we call the home page. It's the My Companies page. Here you'll be able to see all of the companies that you have uploaded into your Fathom account, as well as what that account, the sort accounting system is that is being used. Here you are also able to add in more companies. This is also where we will create our consolidation, as well as benchmarking groups that can be created here. Something I do want to note is that these won't be available to you until you have more than one company uploaded into your Fathom account. But let's jump into it and actually create a consolidation. So this brings us to a page where we can now start to build our consolidation. So I'm going to name this my green needs consolidation 2022. You can see I have quite a few companies uploaded to my Fathom account, but we do have the little search bar here for you to be able to go in and add in the companies that you need. On this page, you are also able to select the date range for your consolidated group. Down here, your first month of the financial year. And if you are working with multi-currency, you can choose a presentation currency for your reports. So I'm going to go ahead and choose US dollars. I'm going to now create this group. Awesome. So we are now brought straight into the actual consolidation landing page, which is all about that consolidation that we just created. If I do go up here, though, to the My Companies button, back to the home page, you can easily jump back into that landing page by clicking that little orange circle. Orange within Fathom does mean that that is a consolidation. So on this page, you are able to edit the name of the group, update the date range by clicking Update Group. You can see I can change that date range here. Also, if I do update any of my underlying companies and I want to make sure that my consolidation group is up to date, I can go ahead and click Update Data here. Again, really easily change that name if you decide that you want it to be something different. I can add or remove companies really easily from here, as well as access any of the functional areas of Fathom. So here's my analysis, reporting, forecasting, as well as my settings. At the bottom of the page, you'll see that we have a few other options. We can jump straight into a consolidated group report, and I will walk through that template a little bit later. We also have our last month's consolidated financials in an Excel form, as well as straight into our consolidated specific analysis tool. I am going to jump into my settings now and walk you through how to make sure your consolidation is consolidated correctly. So our consolidated group settings are very similar to the individual company settings. It is still going to be a 6-step workflow and pretty easy to follow. You can see in step 1, you will be able to view the companies in the group and add or remove companies here as well. Clicking on the Manage Group button, I can do that very easily, adding in and out those companies that I need, kind of similar to what we looked at when we first created it, as well as change that presentation currency and that start of my financial year. So that is kind of a good thing about Fathom that I just do want to point out is like anything that you create right away, you will be able to change later and as needed for your consolidated group. So never feel that what you choose right away is going to have to be set in stone, or that you'd have to create a new consolidation if you want to change something. And you can see I can also update my consolidated group right here. Also, if I want to make sure that everything is up to date in my consolidation group, I can download this report. And I can see right here, this is that downloaded report. Each of my companies, the last time it was updated, and some basic other information about that underlying company. In step 2, we are able to, again, change that name, see the financial year. This is where we can add a logo also for our consolidated group. And this is where our default rates will be. Under the default rates is where you'll be able to view and edit the exchange rates for multi-currency consolidations. We use open exchange rates to bring in monthly average exchange rates for the P&L and the month-end exchange rate for the balance sheet into Fathom. To edit the exchange rates, you can click into the cell and just manually edit it one by one. But we also can upload an Excel document with multiple exchange rates. So if you just have one exchange rate, then just manually adding it in can be pretty easy. But if you start to have 2, 3, or 4, then using Excel is a great way to kind of keep track of all that. If you want to upload from Excel, first you would download the template and make the changes and then re-upload them into the system. The Excel file uploads are especially helpful for those multiple exchange rates. Moving over to step 3. So step 3 is our chart of accounts. This is where you'll be able to see the consolidated chart of accounts, as well as make any entire account eliminations if needed. Within Fathom, we consolidate based on exact account name and classification. So if I scroll down, you can see here I have 2 cost of goods. And you might be wondering, like, why did that consolidate properly? It's because maybe something was either off with the spelling. If you had like cost of good without the S for one of them and then with the S with the other, it wouldn't consolidate that. Or what we're looking at here is one is a variable and one is a fixed cost. So you do have a few ways you can go about, fixing this to make sure that your consolidation as chart of accounts is consolidating correctly. One, you can always go into your underlying, account system and change the name and re-upload it. That's a lot of steps though. So you can also go into the underlying company within Fathom and reclassify this either as a variable or this is a fixed, and then update the consolidated group and it will combine those. Or my favorite and the easiest is just clicking on this little box and creating a heading. I now have a heading that will roll up those 2 into it. In my reports, I am able to choose the level of detail that I want for my financial tables, and I will be able to choose to show just this heading that I've created, or I can show what's within that heading and show the 2 that I've used to roll up into it. So you have some flexibility there if you notice some discrepancy when your when your companies combine in the consolidation. Of course, always make sure to save your changes as you go. You might have noticed this eliminate button as I put my mouse over these. This is where, again, we can do those full line eliminations. So if I click on eliminate, I can see which companies are what account is being brought in by which company. And I can very quickly, easily eliminate a full account. If I click done, you can see there I have one eliminated account. As easy as it was to eliminate that, I can bring it right back and restore it. So never feel worried about losing any data. You can eliminate and restore super easily within Fathom. But I'm going to keep one of those eliminated for now. You might be wondering how you can do partial eliminations because maybe you don't have, a full double count between different accounts within your companies. We have what we call elimination companies. So elimination companies are basically a way for you to, it'll be in an Excel document, and it'll be called elimination company, and you'll have the account that you want that partial elimination taken out of, and it'll be a negative amount. So to kind of see what that looks like. This is what an elimination company will look like. So you can see here, I have my Greenies elimination company, and I'm just wanting to take out a little bit of a negative amount out of this one line. So I would create this, and then just like you added those underlying companies into your consolidation group, you would just upload this company into Fathom, and then add this into your consolidation group, and then Fathom will know how to consolidate that and take out that partial amount from that one account. Awesome. Same thing kind of over here with my balance sheet, any eliminations I need to do, or any headings that I need to create. Going over, oh, and again, if you don't save your changes, we do have this little pop-up. So that is great. So to remember to save your changes. Going over to step 4, you are able to select which KPIs you want to track at the consolidated group level. You can choose any KPIs that is created and turned on in one of the underlying companies, as long as it is added to the KPI library. And so what I mean by that is that you can't create any of our non-financial or formula KPIs at the consolidated level. You do need to create those in those underlying company. And if I scroll down, you can see here are my custom KPIs I've created. They are added to the library, and that is how I will be able to use those in my consolidated group. Of course, you can show all KPIs here, and just as easy as in underlying companies, turn them off and on and change that level of importance. Going over to step 5. This is where you can, set targets or use your budget as a target. I want to note that budgets in consolidated groups are kind of treated like the chart of accounts. We will combine it. So if you have budgets in your multiple underlying companies, know that budget will be combined. So sometimes what people will do is if they have one overall budget for their consolidation, is they will just add that consolidated budget to one of the underlying companies and no budgets to the other if you just want one. Otherwise, just know that we will roll up those budgets as well. And super simple here, you can see I can just go ahead and turn on using budgets or manually enter any targets that I want. Nothing super to point out in our step 6. It's really just the same as underlying companies. We have a few alerts for you to be able to turn off and on. Of course, you can always choose what that threshold actually is that you want to be alerted at. So I'll go ahead and turn a few of those on. I'll save those changes. So that is the settings of a consolidation. It is, pretty straightforward. I would say that the biggest part is really that chart of accounts, making sure you just do a sense check, go through, make sure everything combined how it's supposed to, because again, it's going to be that account name and that classification. So like little spelling things here and there that you might not have noticed before, they won't consolidate properly. So just spend a few times there, but that is the settings for consolidations. So we are now going to jump into our analysis. Awesome. So you can see the analysis tools for the consolidated group look very similar to the analysis tools in a single company. You may notice an additional tool, so we'll start there. Over here on my breakdown. The breakdown tool allows you to view how the companies in the consolidation compare to each other. You can see all the companies listed on the left-hand side, as well as the metric that is being compared at the top. So you can see right here, we are looking at my total revenue. You, of course, can change this metric. Everything, you can always change it to be what you want to look at. I have all my KPIs here, as well as my P&L, balance sheet, and chart of accounts. Also, you are able to sort it by result or A to Z. So oftentimes, if you have, upwards of 20, 30 in a consolidation, it can be hard to find which company you want to look at. So that A to Z is definitely really useful. And just a little tip I want to give, if you do see any bolded words in Fathom, that often means that there are other options that you can use to organize or to track different metrics with under that bolded word. So definitely always pay attention to that. I'm going to jump down to my financial tool here. And so you can see that it looks pretty similar to a single entity, but it does have additional functionality at the consolidated group level. You can see here, I have my P&L, my balance sheet, and my cash flow statements, but you can also click into these different accounts and get, similar to the breakdown tool, kind of what you're looking at for whatever account you clicked into. But we also have this budget compared to it. So here you can see my actuals versus my budget for each of my companies. And again, this is the same for all of those. So if I click on my cost of sales, here I have my actuals versus my budget. Again, under those bolded words, playing around with it and seeing the different options that we have for you to be able to view. The rest of our financial or analysis tools are really much just the same. They're just going to be your consolidated data. So here I'm looking at my profitability for my consolidated group, or my KPI Explorer for my consolidated information. I'm going to jump now into my reporting section. Awesome. So the reporting section has the same parts to it as the single entity does in the report center. Before we jump into report, I do want to point out that you have the option to download your consolidated group financials from Excel really easily. So here I have my Excel reports, and I can easily download any of these really quickly. So here I'm working in a multi-currency consolidation, so I can download this, including my eliminations. I do have this already downloaded. And so you can see here each of my companies that I have, as well as I did make that elimination in that chart of accounts. And you can see where that elimination is right here on this financial statement. We're now going to jump up into our templates. So we do have a consolidated report template. This is the same template that we were looking at earlier at the beginning of this webinar. And it is also the same template that you have access to from the Consolidations landing page. So I'm going to go ahead and create this report. Like any of our reports, you can create them as drafts or publish right away. Our templates are made to be super quick and easy for you, so you can publish our templates if you wanted to, but I do recommend always starting as a draft to make sure it has everything that you want and looks how you want it to. You always have that option, month, quarter, or year, and just, acknowledging the people that will be able to see this. So let's create that report. All right, I'm going to click into edit. So you can see that I have now, this report has all this information on it for me. Up here at the header, I do want to note this is where you can add in that logo if you have one uploaded. And we were looking at a print version, so you can add in that image if you want. And you have different ways of changing things around. But for the purpose of today, I'm going to play around in our online version. Scrolling down, we bring in a consolidated executive summary for you. Moving down, we see we have different parts, different accounts and how they're doing. You might not love this like thumbs up, but just know that everything in Fathom you can totally edit. So you can go in and I can make this a little check mark, and you can see that changes right away. And of course, you can go in and change any of the wording that you want. To say whatever is important to you or what you want to bring to light within any meetings. Scrolling down, here is that analysis tool that we looked at earlier at the consolidated KPI level. Here are those breakdown charts. So I have a revenue breakdown by company, total cost of sales breakdown by company. And you can see that if I wanted to, I can click edit And I can go in and I can change this color to be really whatever I want it to be. Or you can even bring in a color code. So I know that a lot of times companies have colors that they work with that they want, their reports to be all the same. So you will be able to do that within Fathom reports. Scrolling down, looking at some of my revenue charts and my growth charts. So we do have these predefined templates for you as a starting off point to save you just time and energy when building reports. But you, of course, don't need to use everything on our templates. So if something isn't important to you, like maybe growth charts isn't really something that you care to, have in a report for your consolidated, I can just go ahead and delete that and just remove that from my report altogether. You, of course, can also delete individual parts of each page. So here's the profitability, as well as our cash flow analysis tool. Moving down now into our financial tables. So here we are looking at a group financial trend. This is a financial year. If I click into edit and I go down here, I'm looking at a custom date range. I have a previous financial year, my current financial year, my rolling 12, as well as the ability to have a custom range and move around, maybe how many months you might want to see for your consolidation. Of course, you have the ability to do month, quarter, year for all of those. And down here under download, if I click allow report viewers to export to Excel, I can then download this custom table that I made for my consolidation into Excel. Right down here in that bottom right corner is where that will be. Moving down to my financials by company, you can see here I have each of my companies in this financial statement. I can go over, I can have a P&L and balance sheet. I can have just a balance sheet. You can play around and really make it specific to what you're looking for. I want to note here the rows. This is where you'll be able to break out that level of detail that you want in your tables. So if I click on more detail, we can go ahead and see there's that heading that I created earlier and those two that roll up into that. It might be important in your meetings or when you're building your reports to see everything that is going into your financial statements, but as well as you can break it down and move it down a little bit with that detail and just have that heading if you don't need to see everything just because you know what companies are being consolidated. Of course, apply those changes. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and actually show you kind of where you can find these. So again, we have that template for you, but maybe as you get more comfortable in Fathom, you might want to build reports from scratch. So you have to know where all of this is located. So I'm going to go ahead and add another section. I'm going to add a table and financial. Up here, you can see that this one is going to bring me just a very clean, straight P&L for the month that I've created this report at the consolidated level. If I go into edit, under company filter, I am actually able to then select one of my underlying companies. So you can have your financials by company like the one that we just looked at where they're all next to each other, as well as you can also go in and add in each underlying company's P&L and balance sheet just in a row, just depending on how you want to look at it, if you want to compare it, or if you just want them all on the same report. Because also when you're able to do it as a single company, I can go in and I can add or remove columns. And I can add in, my budget and my last month. So you can see, comparing more at that underlying entity level, as well as having those side by side. Scrolling down, I'm going to go ahead and add another section again. Kind of like I noted earlier, under those bolded words usually means that there are more options and more things for you to take a look at. So under financial trends, that's where your, as you can see, your last 6 months, your financial year, your rolling 12, where all of that is going to be located. And then under financials by company is where you can get that side by side for each of your companies. Going up to my charts, you can see right down here, I have my revenue breakdown. And you can click on any of these, and it will bring in that consolidated level information. And again, we have lots of different options for you to bring into your reports to really make sure that, it's giving the information that you want it. Always like to note, we do have different layouts for you, as well as different text for you to use in your reports to make sure that you're communicating what you need to for your reports. All right, I'm going to jump out of my report and kind of show you a few other things here. So once you've created a report and you love it, everything that it has everything you need for your monthly, quarterly, or yearly report, you are then going to be able to schedule this. So if I go ahead and I save this as a template, I'm going to name it consolidation report. I'm going to create that template. That's now down in my custom templates. Going back over here, I can now schedule this report. So Fathom saves you a lot of time. You just have to build a report one time. You just have to love that one report, and then you are good to go, and you can schedule it and you don't have to even worry about it. You can choose a couple days after the end of every month to make sure that not only your books are closed, but then your Fathom account is updated, and everything is pulling all the up-to-date data. And I can click to notify via email when the report is created. I can have everybody in my account, or I can choose kind of who do I want to get this report. So maybe I just want the administrators, or maybe just my clients to get the report. And then I can schedule this report. That brings me down to my scheduled reports. Here you can see I now have an active, the next issue date. As easy as it was to create it, I can also pause it, or I can delete it if I realize, like, hey, this is not ready yet, I want to add more to it. So that is the report center. I'm going to jump back out to my home page now. And then just a couple other things that I want to touch on. Under our user management, this is where you are able to invite in people into your Fathom account. So if you want to bring in clients into your Fathom account, you are able to do so. And you're also able to choose what you want them to view. So if I type in, so here's that consolidation that I just created. So maybe I just want them to view that consolidation. I do have that ability. Also under show advanced user permissions, I can choose kind of like what I really want them looking at. Like, you don't want them doing any of the settings. You just want them looking at the analysis tools, and the reports that you create. Awesome. So that is the user management. So one other thing I do want to point out is that consolidations within Fathom are included in your subscription. So you're not going to be paying for your consolidations. You are just paying for the underlying companies that go within it. So feel free to make as many consolidations or benchmarking groups as you would like, as makes sense for you. So that is Fathom Consolidations. Before we go into the Q&A, I do have one other poll that I am going to launch, to kind of just see how we're all doing, as well as is there anything else you guys want to learn. So I've just launched that now. All right, give you guys just a couple minutes to answer those questions. And then I will open it up for the Q&A, and Natasha and I will answer your questions. All right, I see you guys are answering them. Awesome, thank you.
All righty, as people are getting answers in on that poll, we'll go ahead and get started with questions. So lots of great questions came in throughout the webinar. We'll touch on some of those. And then new questions, feel free to keep typing them in and submitting them. We'll get to as many as we can today. And if, again, we can't address your question, we'll follow up with you after the webinar. So let's see, a couple to start with. Sydney, this one is for you. This is a great question. I think a few people had it maybe phrased in different ways. So is there a way to compare a consolidated total to an individual company? I'd love to be able to take the consolidated total and include it as a column in reporting along with individual companies.
Yeah, so if I jump over to my report. Down here in my consolidations, I do have the total right here alongside each of my individual companies here in my reports. Is that kind of what you guys are looking for?
Perfect. I think that hits the nail on the head. There are some cool other ways that you can kind of break it down or highlight one of those columns if that's what you're looking for. If there's one, either the totals or an individual company, it's really important to kind of showcase in this scenario. But yeah, basically, yes, happy to say we do allow for that. Thanks, Sydney. And next one here, Natasha, I'll give this one to you. Can you create a chart in the consolidated report that shows data from the individual entities? For example, maybe a line graph that would show the working capital. So yeah, kind of the visual version of that table you just showed us, Sydney.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Let's go.
Okay, cool.
So if I go into one of my reports, this is just a template report or a draft report that I created. I'll add another section here. And if I go to charts, I can scroll down and view this revenue breakdown by account. So I can either do it by account. So this is, again, just the consolidated version, or I could do the breakdown by company. So it's showing, let's see here. Oh, the metric right here. If we want to edit that, we can see right now it's the revenue breakdown by company, but we can select any metric we want, whether that be from our KPIs, our P&L, or our balance sheet. And then we can in turn change the heading of this to be whatever we want.
Perfect. So yeah, lots of great customization there. Hopefully slightly different formatting than that question, but should get you the data that you're looking for. Hopefully that tackles that. All right. Another question while we are in reporting, whoever wants to take this one, maybe Natasha, since you're driving in there currently, is there a way to show a consolidation P&L by company and by month? So we saw by company.
So financials by company and then by month. So you can't do it, or jump in if this is incorrect, but you can't do it by company and month. But what you can do is just view a single company financials. So if I go in here, this is going to be the consolidated version. But if I edit here, I can say I just want the specific company, and then I can create multiple tables that show here. Actually, if I wanted to do, let's do a different table. Maybe just delete this really quick and do the financial trends. So that's more of the, by month. So then I'll go again, this is going to be the consolidated version, but if I just edit that and click,
not sure.
Oh, not this one. Let's see.
I think that
I guess it is just that other one.
Yeah, so it's for the other one, that first one she showed, you're able to add in like last month, 2 months prior, 3 months prior, but we don't have the financial trends being able to, the rolling 12 in the last 6 months are going to be at the consolidated level. Just be within this one under the columns that you can add in like last month, 2 months prior, 3 months prior, or same with last year. We don't quite have a by company, because that would be like a 3-way chart, kind of to have like all the months, the companies, as well as the account, which is not something that we have quite
Yeah, but you can filter by specific company
And then
in this chart.
Yeah, so kind of an either or basically with that one. Yeah, if we find a way to add another dimension, like Sydney said, have all those axes, maybe someday we'll pull that in. So you can get all the data broken down. It'll just be kind of parsing it out into some different charts if you want to look at all that. Thank you both. Perfect. Let's see, we had a good question on benchmarks, our other multi-entity group feature. So someone is wondering if the benchmarks are based on the companies that you connect, if you're entering benchmark data, or if Fathom is pulling benchmarks from data outside of just your Fathom account.
Yeah, I can hop in on this one. So the benchmarking is only using your data that you have pulled through from QuickBooks. So if you have, multiple clients, say that they're all on, or they're all dental companies, you can pull those together in a benchmark and kind of benchmark them against each other. We currently are not offering any industry level data in terms of benchmarking that way. So it is only going to be comparing to your own data that you pull through from QuickBooks.
Awesome. Thank you. Good clarification there. That word can kind of mean a lot of things. We had another question about someone looking to do a consolidation, 4 different companies, 3 of them are on QBO. We saw that's a pretty easy connection to Fathom. For the one remaining that is not on QBO, can Fathom handle that? What's the best way to make that all happen?
Yeah, super easy. As long as you have it uploaded into your Fathom account, you can consolidate from any system. So it can be QBO, Xero, Excel. Once it's in your Fathom account, Fathom will be able to recognize the format and you'll be able to consolidate it, no problem.
Awesome. All right, some interesting questions here. Let's see. So I know we got lots of questions about different classes and divisions and consolidations. Actually, yeah. Does one of you want to kind of touch on that? What you can and can't do in Fathom around those classes with consolidations? I think we've got a workable workaround. Basically, I'll let one of you jump in there.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of as we touched on in the previous question, we can't do sort of multi-dimensional reporting. So we can't take your class data and show that by consolidation. So if you have multiple classes in your companies, we can't then see the consolidated data by company. A workaround we do have, however, is if you pull out each individual class as a separate entity, you can then add that to your consolidation and it kind of acts as a separate company. So instead of, a different location or whatever, it would be like, certain departments included within that consolidation or locations. I guess that acts as a class as well. There is a discount for consolidating entities, so you don't have to pay the full standard pricing for pulling out separate classes, and it is a custom plan. So just make sure to reach out to us if that is something that you're interested in.
Awesome. So yeah, there are ways that we can get you there, adding each of those divisions, departments, locations as individual companies to your consolidated group. Basically, you'll be able to fully break down results and see those individually broken out, as Natasha and Sydney have shown on different charts and graphs and things like that.
Yeah. So you just need to make sure to upload that class or location as its own company into Fathom. And there's a way to do that in like the add way. So you're uploading it as its own company and then just adding it as its own. Or I've worked with people that have uploaded just a bunch of different classes or locations and create a consolidation of just those to then be able to use our like breakout tools or like compare tables in the reporting.
Right. Good call out. You have to add them individually to make that happen. That's right. Okay, great. Let's see. I think we've got time for maybe 1 or 2 more here. Let's see. Jen mentions she would like to recommend Fathom to another company I work for. Thank you, Jen, first of all. It would be 1 to 2 companies with 1 to 2 users. So does one of you want to tackle kind of what the pricing would look like, what our pricing is based on, how users come into play there?
Yeah, absolutely. So you pay per company that you pull through the platform. So it does start off at standard pricing, but then the pricing scale does decrease the more companies you add. So, the price per company as you add more companies does decrease. So at 2 companies, that would still be under standard pricing, but if you go above 6, that then moves to the silver, which again is cheaper per company. Included in that is unlimited users as well as full access to the platform. So there's not any hidden fees or onboarding costs or extra costs for new users. So unlimited users, and you just pay per the company that you're loading.
Perfect.
And then again, those consolidations also don't cost you any money. So it's
Correct.
just underlying companies that you'll pay for.
Yeah. You can make as many consolidations, benchmarking groups as you want.
Yeah, and that actually gets at another good question we had about doing a consolidation within another consolidation. If that is possible, or what your options might look like there. Sydney, you want to jump in on that one? Kind of right along the same theme.
Actually, Natasha, you can consolidate a consolidation into another one. Would you jump in here?
So is that correct, Rowan? I don't know either.
So yeah, sorry, I should have read it out technically, because my phrasing probably wasn't as specific, but basically they're wondering if you could consolidate 2 companies, roll it up into one, and then roll that consolidation into another consolidation. Basically right now we don't have those layers exactly.
I see. Right.
Okay.
But since consolidations are at no cost in Fathom, it's just functionality that comes with your Fathom subscription. You can create as many variations on that consolidation as you want. So you could have that one group with the 2 companies and then have another maybe like broad consolidated group that will feature all companies. And then if you need those 2 or that like smaller consolidated group that you mentioned, if you need that reflected as one individual company, we also have some ways for you to kind of consolidate, pull results out and add it into Fathom as one, if you really needed that visual. So yeah, I noted to this person, we'll follow up with you and see what your specific scenario is, but hopefully one of those routes we can get you there. All right, and with that being said, I think we will wrap it here. Thank you so much, everyone, for your engagement, for sticking around, for your great questions throughout the webinar and during our little Q&A session. Let's see, Sydney, do you want to jump back into our deck, and I'll just give some next steps for folks that want to kind of dive into Fathom from here.
All right, and should be good now. Cool.
Perfect. So it looks like many of you are already using Fathom, which is awesome. Again, thanks for joining us today just to hear more about consolidations and kind of go through this workflow. If you have a Fathom account already, you can log in and try all of this out. Just go to app.fathomhq.com. You don't have to get there. If you're in the QuickBooks App Store or your QuickBooks account, you don't have to go in that route. You can always just do app.fathomhq.com. Super simple. Dive in, try this stuff out, ask us questions as they come up. And if you are not currently using Fathom, we encourage you to start a free trial account of Fathom. So you'll get a free 14-day trial. It's fully functional. You'll be able to try out everything that we went through today and any other nuances of your consolidation scenario or other reporting analysis or forecasting needs. So get started there, fathomhq.com/sign up. And if you have other questions, as I mentioned, we will follow up. If we didn't get your question, I know that we got a ton. So there are a whole bunch. We'll be sending you emails to specifically tackle those. But if other questions come up once you dive into Fathom, or after we get off this call, please feel free to reach out to us. We've got a team of Fathom experts on hand to help you with any of those technical questions. What kind of accounting systems can I use? What's Fathom's pricing, et cetera, et cetera. So reach out to us. You can either use the little in-app chat bubble on the bottom right-hand side of the Fathom website screen or your Fathom account screen, or simply email support@fathomhq.com.